So we're welcoming into the studio here Drew Humphrey, who I just found out is the CEO.
That's right.
And producing artistic director.
That's right. It's a mouthful.
That's a big business card.
It is.
I was like, I was not nervous because I was like, oh, he's just the artistic director. But now I find out he's the CEO and the producer. Oh, like, oh my gosh, I got to step up. I should have researched this.
It's a long title that just kind of means that you can blame me.
Okay. And it's Saguaro City
Music Theater.
Okay.
That we essentially focus on three different things. We produce full-scale musicals. We do about 3 a year right now. We also have an educational arm to our organization that offers tuition-free, inclusive arts education. And we call that Studio Arts just to kind of keep it as a separate brand, just so people understand that that's an educational arm of our organization. And then the third part of what we do is we help local artists foster new works, like a new musical or a new play.
Okay. And this is mainly housed out of you're at the Arizona School for the Deaf and Blind?
We produce our musicals at the Berger Performing Arts Center.
Okay.
That's where we've pretty much exclusively done that. Most recently, we did a presentation of Voyagers, a new musical by Cameron Hood, who is an amazing composer. We've been working with him for the last essentially 3 years, helping him foster his musical, which is this amazing piece about the Voyager space mission in 1977. And it's a really fascinating metaphorical new musical rock opera that parallels the 1977 NASA space mission of 2 unmanned Voyager spacecraft reaching out to the farthest limits of the universe against 2 musicians that make a record and take it on the road, and kind of their life and times. But we presented that most recently at the Moroni Theater in partnership with the University of Arizona School of Theater, Film, and Television.
That was going to be one of my questions, because I've seen you in other places, so I was wondering that you definitely do. You move around and
yeah, we're kind of all over. One of the things that keeps our operating budget slim and trim is renting space as opposed to having our own brick and mortar location, whether it's for educational classes or for productions.
And when you're doing you said you're producing musicals, are you working, I thought you were working with a younger student body, like you're with mainly like a children focused, or is that misunderstanding?
Yeah, a little misunderstanding. We do.
This is the level of research. If I'd known you were a CEO, I would have looked all this stuff up better.
Hey, no harm, no foul. So we present 3 main stage musicals a year right now on our current footprint. Our summer show is in concert with a summer camp that we offer. For this year, 61 kids are a part of this summer camp, and it's a 3-week camp that we partner with Pima Community College and Pima Arts They host us for 2 weeks to do the rehearsals and get the production going, and then we move to the Berger. What's really unique about that production is it's 61 kids that are invited to camp, and then we support them with, this year, 11 hired professional adults to perform with them. And what we're able to do with something like that is we're able to pick a very family-friendly property that really appeals to families that stay in town over the heat of the summer. And we also, by adding adults into it, we are able to kind of have age-appropriate people play a lot of the roles. So the kids are able to play age-appropriate roles for themselves, and then they also have the modeling aspect of working with aspiring professionals and professionals.
So you don't have like a 12-year-old being the parent of an 11-year-old.
Right, exactly.
You might have an adult actually being the parent.
We'd have an adult play it, and we did Willy Wonka last year, so Willy Wonka was of age, but then the kids that go on the tour were actually kids and things like that.
So where does Saguaro City come from? How long has it been in Tucson? Like, what's the foundation of it?
Yeah, it's a brainchild of myself and 2 other founders, Charlie Ingram and Dina DiGiacinto. Dina and I were moving back to Tucson and really felt like there was some space for a company dedicated to musical theater and opening up more avenues for professionals in town, professionals from out of town to come and enjoy everything that Tucson has to offer. in that brainchild, we really wanted to have an educational offering and another aspect to develop new work. So we had these lofty goals, and when we were trying to figure out what we should call an organization like this, I'm originally from Tucson, so I was like, well, the Saguaros are so special and so unique to Tucson, and kicked around a lot of different names and just felt like, instead of calling it Tucson Theater Company or something very specific, that we could identify with something that is so iconic and visual to the area.
But it certainly it says Tucson without saying Tucson, right?
That's kind of what we thought, and especially since we are renting space all over town, that we're not, no one has ownership to where we are. Saguaro City is Tucson. Saguaro City is Southern Arizona.
And how long has it been an organization?
So we founded our papers in late 2021
Okay.
and started our first programming right around June of 22. 22.
And then I guess the question always comes to mind with something like this: where does the funding come from?
A lot of generous supporters and grants, and individual donors and foundational support. Running a tuition-free educational program, which is so important to us as the model of what we created with the educational arm, Studio Arts, is that we wanted to take away any and all barrier that we could that would keep any child from participating in arts education. As arts funding continues to dwindle, and how we as a society prioritize arts funding, it's always rocky. But if we could create a model where a family that has 3 kids that wouldn't be able to afford, the expensive programming that it comes, that maybe their kids wouldn't get an opportunity to learn about musical theater, learn about self-confidence and the empathy that you get from telling each other stories and learning about other people when you're trying to tell, a story of any sort. So there's that. And then because it's a very inclusive model, and what I mean by that is our aim from the beginning was to always have about a 50-50 ratio of children with diagnosed challenges, whether it be, a disability, something cognitive, behavioral, that we were very passionate about that from some work that we did in St. Louis with a children's charity called Variety Theater. It was attached to Variety, a children's charity of St. Louis, and they had a very ambitious CEO that loved musical theater and wanted to give their population an opportunity to participate in professional musical theater that they otherwise wouldn't have access to. And we were brought in as performers to that a number of years ago. And in that relationship, we're asked to create some curriculum for the program. And it just resonated with us so much that we really wanted that to be kind of a centerpiece to what Saguaro City was doing, which is opening our doors, providing a support system so that maybe a child in a wheelchair could find, their place in the spotlight just the same as any other child.
And that this just resonates with so many different funding groups and communities here in Tucson. Is that primarily then where it comes from, is private donations?
A lot of private donations. We've got a few foundations that really believe in this mission of opening our doors to any child. Whether the barrier be financial or something physical or something cognitive, that it's so unique that it's a different thing that we get to tell people, like, if you can support this, you're going to give so many kids and families an opportunity to have access to the arts that they otherwise wouldn't. Yeah.
So we're in the midst now, as we're recording this, from the midst of your summer.
We are in the throes of it. Yeah,
we got 61 kids, half a dozen or so adults.
Yeah, we've got a cast of like 72.
Are you working them like all day long, like sunrise to sunset? Are you?
We wish. Yeah. So it's a 3-week camp. We start on a Saturday. It's kind of like a bonus day, just to get some work out of the way, get them acclimated to a theatrical environment, teach them some music, and just kind of start slow, get their feet wet. And then the first 2 weeks of camp are Monday through Friday, from 9 to 3 p.m. And so we get there a little early to make a game plan for the day.
It's a pretty hefty day.
It's a pretty hefty day for and it's not just theatrical activities all day. There's some arts and crafts that we filter in. A lot of some of the 7-year-olds to 9-year-olds to adults can't do theatrical activities all day.
Right.
So we do kind of split it up, and we have special guests that come and talk about their area of expertise. We'll bring in our scenic designer and have them talk about storytelling through the eyes of how they read a script and how they create architecture for the stage. We bring in our lighting designer to talk about color palettes, and our costume designer to show kind of how they organize the look of the show, all the resources that go into building costumes for everything that they're doing. We have stage management come in and just talk about all of the paperwork that is involved in making sure a show continues to run. We break up the day with a lot of different fun activities.
And are the students that are there, are they primarily performing, or are they involved with these other areas?
The students that are at camp are primarily performing. Yeah, they're primarily on stage. What's been really fun the last 2 years, last year and this year, with our partnership with Pima Community College, is that we've created an internship program that they've been instrumental in organizing. So aspiring high schoolers and Pima College students apply to work with our hired designers to learn their trade alongside them, whether it be sound design, costume design, lighting, things like that.
But and that's one of those things that you'll look back on in 10 years with as we're looking at Arizona with the film credits that are coming in, and all these studios now potentially wanting to move to this area for financial reasons. But a lot of the challenges that I've heard in other markets is having the labor ready force, and you're actually ahead of the curve on that by getting these internships up and running.
Yeah, it's such a win-win scenario. Pima was looking for a way to invite people onto their campus. They've got a wonderful performing arts center. And a wonderful performing arts.
The West
the West Campus.
Okay, I recently saw this. Beautiful.
It's a really incredible facility, and just bringing people into the campus, bringing aspiring artisans in the theatrical trade. They get indoctrinated, so to speak, into what a career path could look like, maybe before they pursue an education in it. So it's kind of a free and easy way to find out if you like something, which is kind of what our campers are doing on the performing side. It's a no-cost opportunity to find out how much you love theater, how much you are willing to do theatrical activities from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. every day. Right. Some kids take to it like water, and others are like, this was really fun. I don't know if I want to make a career out of it.
I've heard a lot of Broadway stars talking about their involvement with they really enjoy their time on Broadway because they have a lot of arts and crafts time built into that. So
yeah, that's right. That's right. They really build it in when you're in the National Touring Company of Cats.
Let's do finger puppets today.
That's right. Yeah. So the internship program has been great, and there's such lucrative career paths for those that are great at building scenery, for those that are passionate about lighting design or becoming master electricians. All of that. There's such a bright future.
And this just might be me and my awareness, but it seems like stage is making a larger push into regions than it used to be. Like everything was moving towards the movie screens, and now it seems like I'm seeing more opportunities for stage productions locally and regionally. It just might be me paying more attention.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would agree. I mean, anecdotally, I would say, as no expert myself, that film.
That's what we promise here. No expert.
That's right.
No
that's
expert
right.
opinions.
I promise I don't know anything. Don't let the CEO title fool you. Culturally, we've shifted from film to smaller screens to investment in television, to our investment in enjoying and consuming social media through TikTok and small short reels and things like that. And it's all virtual, and we're all separated from each other from the pandemic, moving forward by screens and Zoom meetings and all this stuff. That theater is that one place that's left that you can't package it another way. You've got to all, sit with strangers and all face one direction and, agree to be quiet for 2 hours. next to each other, which is, we don't do that very much. And so I think that communal aspect of how we interact as humans with each other, it's irreplaceable. And I think that in this post-pandemic push, but it's been 5 years, that we're all looking for a way to reconnect with one another and learn about each other's stories. And maybe that's why. Maybe that's why we're seeing a resurgence of theater. I don't know. I hope there's a resurgence of theater.
I think there is. And a lot of the things you said are there. And there's an element of this artificial intelligence and the CGI that is extraordinary in one way, but there's also, and I'm going to go back to the very beginning when you talked about Voyagers. I happened to be at the most recent workshop that they did, and the music is beautiful. The story is really well created, and the symbolism is fabulous. But I was so amazed. I was with a friend of mine, and afterwards I was just saying, I'm so amazed at how they can take empty boxes on a stage and convert them into this entire set that gives me all these different visuals of being in a restaurant or being on stage or being in an awards ceremony. And they just did them with empty boxes and moving them and acting out that scene. And I was just, it probably sounds silly, but I was just so impressed with the ability to take that physical object and change reality for me without a screen or or any effects.
I mean, that's why I'm passionate about the art form, because what collectively we are sharing a suspension of disbelief, right? If an actor goes out on stage and they believe something to absolutely be true and to absolutely be real, then collectively a room full of 350 strangers is going to sit there, and all of a sudden they're all going to believe it too. And in that collective belief, magic is created. And we collectively use our imagination together, strangers sitting in the dark. And it's so unique.
I thought we were going to have a little more time to talk about Voyagers, so maybe I'll ask Cameron to come on, because I think that project is really interesting. And I know that you are I think the nest is what you call it. You're nesting that program. Right. But as we're wrapping up here, how do people find out? You've got some things coming up in the fall. Like how do people track you? Social media, websites? Yeah.
SaguaroCity.org is a great place to just kind of see what's going on with what we're in the midst of. We offer educational programming kind of throughout the year. Being tuition free, it's the right price for a lot of people. So it's a first come, first serve basis, and that usually goes away pretty quickly. So if you have a child that's interested in the arts, definitely sign up on the newsletter on that page so that we will notify you. We don't notify all of our subscribers about every educational program. So if you're interested in that for your family, that's a good place to look. Later in the fall, we're going to be presenting My Fair Lady in October. Oh, wow. And then, and that doesn't really involve any kids. It's just, it's one of our shows that we're producing. And then in December, we usually do a family-oriented show, Christmas adjacent, because we run over December and January. Okay. So we'll be doing Annie.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
They're popular titles. That's right. I got a lot of advice from other CEOs that said, if you're starting a new theater company, pick some titles that people recognize to start off before you get into the deep cuts.
And it's SaguaroCity.org?
SaguaroCity.org.
All right. Well, it's Drew Humphrey, CEO and producing
artistic director.
Fantastic. Not just the artistic director.
I know.
It was absolute pleasure having you in here, and going to keep tabs and keep us posted on things, and maybe we'll get some updates on some of your alums as they get into the world after being with you for a few years, and we see them.
We'll keep a Who's Who's page updated for you.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Tom.